I literally finished Batman tonight with the PATman. And I have to say, like, holy crap. It's so good. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it has no fucking right being this good. Okay? Like, I like Robert Pattinson. I'm not one of those that were not looking forward to it because of Twilight. Like, I was not one of those people. I've seen him in other movies because, hey guys, guess what? He's been in other movies. But I think what I was experiencing, rather than, oh no, I don't want to see Robert Pattinson, was rather just, I don't want to see another Batman. In our lifetime, because we're 30-year-olds, right? All of us? Almost. Okay, well, 30 and anyways, we're all 30-year-olds here. So in our lifetime, we've had Keaton, we've had Kilmer, we've had Clooney. I feel like I'm already missing one, aren't I?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay.
Unless you count, I guess it's
West.
not our lifetime.
I mean,
I was about to say.
He's not in our lifetime, though, so.
Right.
Not technically, at least. So, Keaton, Kilmer, Clooney, Bale, Affleck, and now Pattinson. But that's not even discounting the fact of Kevin Conroy. Am I saying that?
Yeah, that's not discounting the voice actors.
The voice actor Kevin Conroy, who is the ultimate Batman as far as I'm concerned, in the animated and in the video games. So,
yeah.
I mean, the fact that we've had 7, and that's just the main ones, in my opinion. We've had tons of different variations in, like, the animated world as far as anybody else other than Kevin Conroy. So we've had 7 at least big name Batmans. And so there was definitely part of me that, especially because of how fucked the quote unquote DCEU, and how fucked that is, I was not looking forward to it. Not because I don't like Robert Pattinson. I love Robert Pattinson. I think he's a terrific actor, especially since the last thing I saw him in was Tenet. And even though I didn't know what was going on, I know that he was a good actor in it.
Oh, you couldn't figure out what's going on in Tenet?
Like, nobody can. Okay, I don't have a PhD. My fucking STD score is not over 1600.
God, I would hope not. You need to go to the doctor.
Jesus, dude. Go to the doctor. No, that's real. And the last thing I saw Tenet, and then I also saw The Lighthouse.
Oh, yes.
Him and William Dafoe.
God.
Dude, that movie.
Nate, have you seen The Lighthouse?
That's on my list.
That is on
dude,
your list.
That needs to be moved up to the top. Like this weekend, you need to make it happen.
Well, see what I'm going to do, because I was tasked with watching Blade Runner.
That doesn't have Robert Pattinson, okay?
I know, but what I'm saying is
your
what I'm going to do
homework is not anything but Robert Pattinson, okay?
That's my homework that's my homework for whenever I have, like, you know what, I've got some time to myself and I don't know what to watch. I'm going to put that on. That's what I'm going to do.
It's only like an hour and a half, I think.
Yeah.
Too, so
I'm surprised how much I liked it.
I've honestly
just Robert Pattinson and fucking Willem Dafoe in a room getting shit-faced.
I think because of No Way Home, I've been on a real big Dafoe kick. I actually went and bought No Way Home the other day because we were in Walmart, and I was like, you know what? I can't not.
Imagine going to Walmart and buying a DVD. Yeah. Come on, man.
Fair. Well, it was the 4K Blu-ray, to be fair.
Ooh. I'm special.
Hey, look, you fuckers are the ones that actually have like 4K Blu-ray players. Right. I don't. Okay, I'm future-proofing myself.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Left it up.
You know what else is future-proofing? Getting it digital. So I know, like, not even close. But
hang on. Did this 4K Blu-ray at least come with like a digital copy?
Right, dude.
Yeah. So it's basically the same thing as the Blu-ray, but it just doesn't come with the DVD. So it comes with a 4K, a regular Blu-ray, and then the digital.
Okay, so you actually came out on top. You got more bang for your buck than I would argue.
Right.
But where are you keeping the case? Like, where are you doing all this physical media you are getting from the Walmart?
I mean,
Ain't nobody
I have
got time for that.
We've got a bookshelf in the living room that's got like all the. It's a decor, but going back to the Batman, the thing that I can easily say about what we saw with this is another like tick for the whole thing of let's not get origin stories anymore.
Oh yeah,
like it follows the same formula that really happened with Holland's whole thing. Going back to No Way Home. Where in Homecoming he's already Spider-Man and he's just like living that life, and
he hasn't even met Oates yet.
The thing that I was most surprised by, to be honest, was how little Bruce Wayne there was and how much Batman there was in it.
So that was honestly my biggest takeaway, was the number of times we saw Robert Pattinson's face was like 5 times the whole movie.
It's like in Dredd when we did not see Karl Urban's face, and that did not subtract from his delivery or his emotional, or the action scenes or anything like that. It added to it. And so, yeah, not seeing Robert Pattinson's face, like, hey, if you don't like Robert Pattinson, don't worry, you don't fucking see him.
Right. And it's also like the scenes we do get with Robert Pattinson or Bruce Wayne are very brief. It's like it's like he might be on the screen, the longest might be towards the end, and it might be 10, 15 minutes of him actually being on screen. And then the church scene, which was probably another 10 minutes.
I think the longest time that we see his face on screen is when he's staring at the kid, who I'm going to assume he's picturing being Robin. Like, if we're being like, that's not in a bad way.
Think about that.
But like, you think about it, because he lost his parents same way, and like he can see a connection with this kid. I feel like that's the way that they explain it. But
what are politicians but colloquialisms for tightrope dancers?
But like, this legitimately is the perfect Batman movie. Nice stick reference, because especially if you love the games. Like for me, when we were watching it, because we did get to go see it in theaters, and that was especially with the Batmobile and the score, like the bomb, like that was, it was really cool. But in particular, of course, going with that,
the Batmobile and how it revved up. Like, I loved how
music.
It revved up and like just the
and it misfired.
Sound of it. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That was also really cool, is to see him fail. Like, a lot of people were complaining about the whole wingsuit scene, and I was seeing a lot of people talk about it. They're like, no, actually that was really cool, because that was his first like run at that type of system, and he beat the shit out of himself by running straight into a bridge.
Did you see? It's towards the beginning or whatever. This is like 2 years into his Batman. So this isn't like year one. Like, I know there's a whole comic book run where it was year one. This is year 2. One. So it's like we're still getting this kind of pup-faced in a way.
And this is confirmed as the Earth 2 Batman. So it's year 2, Earth 2, which is kind of cool. I remember what I was saying was, if you really enjoyed like the games, the whole scene where they went to when he went to the what's the word for it, the orphanage. Like, that was straight up out of Arkham City, straight up out of the Riddler puzzles with Catwoman. And so it was cool to also like just to see that whole dynamic and see that, but to also have that conflict like with Batman. Like, is he gonna like to actually see a better interpretation of wrestling with your dark side, quite literally. It's just, and Colin Farrell, man. That's one of those that
just kidding.
Exactly. His performance was incredible. There was a lot of people that I was
the part where they have him zip tied, so he's literally having to waddle around.
Yeah. Like, there was a couple that I was worried about casting wise. Like, what's his face from God, he was in anger management. John Turturro. John Turturro.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I was worried about him like being cast because I know that actor. Like I've seen him in a lot of stuff, so I was kind of worried about. But every person that they cast to be these in Batman's Rogues Gallery fucking nailed it.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, there was a couple of things that this movie really had going for it that I was all in on. Number one, Matt Reeves was directing, and I love Matt Reeves. I think War for Planet of the Apes and the Planet of the Apes series is like perfection as a trilogy.
100%.
It might be the best trilogy in decades, as a whole. So there was that. And then there was the Robert Pattinson angle, which it's like people hear Robert Pattinson, if they don't know him, it's like, oh, it's the Twilight guy, right?
Right.
That guy has done so many other movies, and he's so good. And I was really rooting for like this to be the one that really propels him to be like the Hollywood A-list that he should be recognized as, you know?
Right.
He's so good. And then on top of that, it was like Colin Farrell, a well-known actor, good to go. You also had, like you said, John Turturro.
Turturro.
That just, I've always viewed him as like a comedic actor.
Mm-hmm.
And although he's done more like serious roles, but he's always kind of been the goofball comedy relief. So to see him in a more
It's like
serious
Sandler in a drama.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, to see him in a more serious role, I was very excited for. And
it's hard to get him out of your head. If you're younger, Transformers. If you're older, The Big Lebowski. It's hard to get that out of you.
Or you don't mess with the Zohan.
Yeah.
Right.
Have either of you seen, I think it's the HBO like miniseries, The Night Of, I think it is?
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
So he was great in that, but even then he had like a Matlock feel to him, like kind of goofy, kind of like. So I was really anxious to see like how his Carmine Falcone was going to be like, but he was like scary.
Mm-hmm.
The Riddler was scary.
Mm-hmm.
Like the church scene was straight up out of Saw. Like,
yeah,
and Andy Serkis's Alfred was also a big plus for me because I love Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis is, because he does so much work with like motion control and stuff like that, or motion performance
capture.
Motion capture.
Since he does so much work on that, people I feel like underestimate him or underrate him. So if they have like a top 50 actors or whatever, they don't even think about Andy Serkis because sometimes they might not even know it's him. You know what I mean? But as far as like actors, like, yeah, I just absolutely love Andy Serkis. And I do like the role that he played. Like he wasn't a butler necessarily, like he helped out or whatever, but then he was also like helping out with the ciphers, and they were like that.
He was like an evolution of the Jeremy Irons one.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. So it's like I like just the role he played in general or whatever. And I do like that subtly they put it out there that Alfred was the one who taught him how to fight and stuff. I love that. You know.
And it makes a lot of sense.
Sorry, go ahead.
It just makes a lot of sense because to me, all of a sudden, like when you put in that context, like he was left in charge of Wayne Manor and everything, and there's a reason why they left him to a butler,
right?
So
I feel like it. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, to me, it made sense. Now, I am also the guy that is completely non-comic book, so I don't any type of what do they call it? Just. Oh, that's not what he is in the like. I don't care.
Yeah,
give me whatever you got. Canon. There we go.
Yeah,
I
feel like he was more. At least the way they set him up, he is a butler, but I do feel like they set him more up to be like the head of security rather than he's the butler. He's going around with this little handkerchief over him. Oh, sir, let me get you some eggs and soup. They really kind of set him up to be more the head of security, which is why, like, he says the one line when he's at the hospital, he's like, they left me to take care of you. And it's like they did that because, like, that's what he did in the family. He protected them. He says that. He even says that at some point. It's like, I was supposed to protect everybody. So it's like a butler wouldn't say that. a butler is just like, I'm here to serve you or whatever. But no, it's like I really feel like whether it was intentional or not, I don't know. Like, but I do feel like he was the head of security. He was there to protect. He wasn't necessarily because he had to have had some kind of background if he's sitting there teaching Bruce Wayne how to fight.
It's definitely one of those that I feel like it's also the most that we've seen Batman / Bruce Wayne with a father figure. You know, because I mean, you could say Alfred and and we'll just go with like the Batman, the Nolan trilogy, because it's the most, well, it's the most recent interpretation, that I feel like Batfleck aside. Alfred, in that sense, Michael Caine, he's still very much butler,
Yes,
where I feel like
definitely.
in that, Gordon more than anything is his father figure, or that's how they portray him, because seeing him with Bruce as a kid, and so you actually get a genuine sense, especially with all the scenes that they share whenever it's Bruce and Alfred, of him being his father. And it adds that layer, like that deeper layer to that character, and it makes you care about that Alfred even more. Because like going into Batfleck and all the stuff with Batman versus Superman, I was excited to see Jeremy Irons as Alfred, and I liked what they showed about him basically being his tech guy, his guy in the chair in a lot of ways.
Yeah, right.
So they made this one that much more. And like, I also really enjoyed like the whole thread of him potentially dying, like the fact that was a story thread. The one thing that I'll say about this that I feel like is the biggest negative of it, apart from the length, it is 3 hours long, pretty much on the dot, but it also makes Batman versus Superman that much worse.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that movie feels like it's 3 hours long, and somehow this doesn't.
Yeah. I think it's really the crime noir, and this new twist of the parents. The fact that the mom had some issues, and so then the dad had something,
and is also tied with the Arkham family,
right.
Very similar to Arkham Asylum stuff.
Yeah, I mean the way that twist came along was just great, because obviously it made him a key figure in the mystery itself, so that made it more intriguing, but also it was just a really new look at it, because we've always seen the Wayne family as just these like untouchable gods. So to see that they were flawed human beings, the mom, Martha, she was broken, she was in and out of Arkham Asylum, like she was just a broken person. And the dad, in a lot of ways, because even though he might have done it quote unquote for love, he's still also a very broken person. So to see these people that for all of our lifetime we've looked up to them as like, okay, these are good people, and that's what made Batman the way he is, right? I mean, once again, we're a bunch of 30-year-olds who've been watching Batman and been seeing these deities get struck down before their time, and then to see that, oh no, these people were flawed individuals. Like, that was just such a refreshing. I don't like, kind of like what Coach was saying, I don't give a fuck if that's in the comics or not. That's just an interesting way of making him a part of the story, making him a part of the history of Gotham itself. And I'm like, oh my God. And it also recontextualizes him. Like, he could have just been like, oh crap, my dad is not the person he was, so now I'm going to quit. No, now it like reaffirms his belief that it's like, now I'm going to make up for the sins of my father. Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to mention too was I felt the way that they used Catwoman in the movie was very much like kind of still a side story until it wasn't.
Yeah.
And just the way that it got woven in was just really good storytelling in general. I cared just as much about her as I did what was happening with the Riddler and everything else that was going on with that movie.
Definitely.
So just wanted to throw that out there. And the performance was great as well. So.
And easily some of the best action we've seen in any Batman. I mean, to actually see you can see Arkham really anywhere in this movie. I mean, you can see it in the way he fights. You can see it especially. This isn't something related to the game, but I was thinking about his tool belt. I don't know if you guys saw that article, but apparently, Battinson actually kept a vape pen in his utility belt.
Right.
And there are cast members, or not cast members, but crew members who said that they would see him like basically like around the corner, like taking puffs like out of his utility belt. And it's just like, that's why, of course, he has a bat vape. Of course he does.
Right. Yeah. And so just a lot of that kind of stuff I was really into. I really just thought the whole movie just worked, you know?
Yeah.
And like I said, I really appreciated because when the movie was first coming out, and if we just go back a little bit further, it was originally going to be Ben Affleck starring as Batman and directing and helping to write it. So it was going to be this whole, bat flick. And next thing you know, it gets all turned upside down because Ben Affleck hated his life. And we got something that I think ended up being much, much better. So this movie should not have succeeded, it feels like. But it does because it got put into the hands of a really good director who just knows how to make movies.
Right.
And B, Robert Pattinson really just sold it as Batman. Like, he does so much acting with his eyes and his demeanor that it just makes the whole thing. And to point to the action, I think it's some of the best action you'll see in any movie, not just a Batman movie, or a comic book movie. The fight scenes were intense. You felt brutality. You could also see the fights, so that's always nice. And the choreography was just great in general. So
it also helps with making a bat suit in 2022 where you can move in full dexterity, I imagine.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there was any noticeable misses as far as, other than, the people whining and complaining about, oh, he did the whole wingsuit. Like, I agree with Nate. Like, the fact that he was also flawed. He's not perfect. I like that. It seemed more real. I feel like this is the most real Batman we've got. And like Batfleck is very close second because that whole warehouse scene and how he was able to strategically take everybody out, that felt real, that felt grounded and everything. But that was one scene in a mediocre movie, where this is the entire thing, the acting, the directing, the visuals, the visual of him with the flare and everybody following behind, oh man, that gave me chills.
I don't think there's any other Batman property that's been able to show Batman in the same movie being the Khonshu's Fist of Vengeance, as well as making Batman a hopeful hero. Like, that entire scene is him being I'm here to save the city.
Right. I mean, because there's that at the beginning, you have the one, he saved the Asian guy, but the Asian guy was like, please don't hurt me. Then you have this moment where he's reaching out, hey, I'm here to help you, and nobody wants to do it. But who is the first to reach for his hand? The little kid. And then after the little kid, then it's the senator, then it's everybody else, and he's helping them up or whatever. And it's we got to see him officially come Batman in that moment. It's because people realized he's here to help us. He's here to help the city. And that moment was powerful. And as many origin stories as we've gotten for a Batman, this is the first time I feel like we actually got to see him become Batman in that moment.
It definitely felt the most real Gotham. It's definitely a not real city, and we can establish that, and we can pull that out of our imagination. But it's the most that Batman feels like he's lived in an actual world, because you think back to even the Nolan trilogy, and most of it is
for 7 years.
Well, that, but also Batman Begins is, I feel like, the most you have the Dark Knight does have a lot of. It has a lot of city scenes and a lot of open world settings, but it's very isolated, and you can tell, oh, that's probably Chicago, or oh, that's this. I was able to believe, hey, this is Gotham.
Right. And the last two movies they've done with Gotham has really, between Joker and this, have just been
true. Yeah,
really,
Joker did it
really
did
great.
Well too.
As far as the setting goes. So I wanted to get y'all's quick thoughts before everything goes. One, how did you feel about the Riddler actually getting portrayed as just a maniac that had a plan, genius level? And second, what would you want to see in the next one? They teased Joker at the end of the movie, obviously, I guess spoiler, but yeah, sorry. But what would you want to see in the next movie?
Nate, go ahead.
Personally, what I want to see in the next movie, I don't want to see Joker in a full setting. I'm cool with seeing him in the way that we did, especially in that deleted scene.
Right.
To where he might be like the consultant in that set. What I would really like to see is the Hush storyline, because they kind of tease it, like quite literally when the video, it says Hush on there, but with how they're framing his dad also, that's one of the driving forces, especially in the in the Arkham Knight game, because that's when you see the storyline really kind of come to fruition, where you see, Thomas, that's not Thomas Wayne. I don't remember his name, but the person who is like Hush, the villain Hush, his dad, he feels spited by Thomas Wayne. Thomas Wayne did something to harm their family in his eyes, and it led him on the path that he's on to try to, become Bruce Wayne and, fuck up his life. So with what they did with this and how they interpreted the Riddler, I feel like they could very easily tell a really cool story with that, and maybe go more into like the Long Halloween when it comes to the comic stuff. But when it comes down to like the Riddler itself, I loved it. I loved it because it's going into Arkham Knight, the whole Riddler stuff started to feel a little annoying, maybe because that motherfucker wanted me to catch like 300 trophies before I could 100% the game. That might have a lot to do with it. But it was cool to see a grounded Zodiac Riddler. Like, I didn't know that's what I needed.
Right. And that was one of the other selling points was the thing was like, oh, this is going to be like 7. And I'm like, all right, I'm in. You ain't got to tell me twice about it.
Yeah.
So I really, I think for the next one, I would really like to just see kind of the after effect of the Riddler and what changes for Gotham with that. With that event and how that affects, Batman and how it affects Gotham itself, and also how it affects like politically, because I was really into like the political aspect of Gotham as well. So I really want to see them expound upon that more, which I'm sure they will. As far as villains go, I just don't want to see another Joker at the moment. Like I'm kind of with you. I want to see him in the background, or like the presence is ever feeling like, even if he's the mastermind, I just don't want him to be running around screen for 3 hours.
I do want to see more of Barry Cogan, I think is his name, the home dude from Eternals. I do want to see more of his Joker before I can form a full-fledged opinion, but his like visual is very similar to Scott Snyder's run in the Death of the Family comic arc, where basically Joker cuts off his face and staples it back on. So like, I'm cool to see a deformed Joker and what that looks like, since we've seen pretty much every other interpretation contemporarily, what we can think of at least.
Right. We've seen the clown Joker. We've seen
the gangster.
We've seen like
completely ill Joker.
Which I would say is the more like the Joker that you think of when you think of the Joker is the not Jared Leto, the Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Visual. And even the Jack Nicholson, is just kind of more the clown. So I just wonder what other direction they'll be taking. So that'll be interesting. And I feel like that'll be a third.
You did forget the Joaquin Phoenix.
Bless you.
Oh, yes. And
no, that's what I was talking about. The mentally ill one.
Mentally ill.
When you said that, I thought you just meant the Leto one.
Well, no, that was covered.
That's the gangster.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I can add other than, it would be nice. It would be nice if the next was kind of him just pulling some strings and setting up for him to be the main villain in the third, if the Pattinson's going to be a trilogy, right?
But he signed on for 3, I think, is what they said. So it's probably definitely happening. Probably definitely, huh? But yeah. So I'm yeah. That 90% of the time works 100% of the time, right? So that's what I want to see. I want to see the second. He's really pulling the strings, and then into the second movie, he's out of Arkham, and that's kind of where it cuts. So that's really what I'm wanting to see.
That was the show. That was the Nick and Nate plus more. Make sure to come back every Thursday live or the next day on your podcast services. I was Nick.
I was Nate.
And my friends call me Coach.